And he could almost wrap the championship up this weekend. Unlikely to, though, didn't have the best run yesterday. He will start from pole position in a few moments' time. Great to have your company wherever you are watching us all around the world. The penultimate round of the spectacular Euroformula Open Series. Of course, from here we go to Barcelona in Spain in 3 weeks' time to decide who will follow in the footsteps of the reigning champion, the American Cameron Dass, who won the title 12 months ago.
He certainly did that. And Olli Goethe, he himself chasing the wins record, obviously set in place by Felipe Drugovich, who has since gone on to win the Formula 2 championship. Can Goethe follow in his footsteps? We'll have to wait and see. Still a lot of work to do. We've got more racing to come, obviously, this weekend. We've got this race 2, not to mention a race 3 later on this afternoon as well. And then, of course, we head to Barcelona for the grand finale, where we'll then see the drivers undertake yet another 3 races. And then the title will surely be decided within that window. There's Christian Mansell lining up on his grid slot. He will be starting from 4th place alongside Francesco Simonazzi, who took his first win at Austria last time out. A wonderful display, to say the least, from that man who is certainly here at his home race as well. The Italian looking to score big here at Monza, the Temple of Speed, as it is so well known. And the spectators are looking forward to some more excellent single-seater action here, Ian.
Just grabbed a quick word with Francesco just a few moments ago. How are you, Francesco? And he simply replied, "Carico," which means fired up and ready. As is the driver on your screen, Oliver Goethe, in the Golf hybrid car, out of grid 1. Oh, there's a problem. We heard the words, need to push him into the pit lane. Oh, wow. So the sensation before the start. We'll take a look at the rest of the grid. Josh Mason, who came home 6th in the rain yesterday. Well, this is happening live as we speak. It looks as though the Brit, who has won multiple times this year, will inherit by default pole position. A problem for Oliver Goethe. This is Francesco Simonazzi for BVM Racing. Still to put the gloves on, the visor to come down on the bell helmet in just a moment for the Italian, who won for the first time out at the Red Bull Ring 2 weeks ago. Grid 3, but a problem for Goethe means he may, in effect, move up to 2nd on the grid. Christian Mansell out of 4th, 31 years after Nigel Mansell wins the Italian Grand Prix. Christian Mansell in contention for the title here at Monza. And then we go to Frederick Lubin, coming over from the GB3 Series and F4 in Britain in 2021. Had a fabulous drive yesterday. We did not give him enough credit. Held off the attacks of Mansell for the entire duration of the race to come home in P2. Vlad Lomko, a stunning pole position yesterday. And victory for the French driver, who moves up into 3rd in the series, just 4 points behind Mansell. Goethe back into pit lane.
There you have it. Oliver Goethe, championship leader. Problems already for the Great Dane. This is certainly not what was on the cards for him, but I'm sure Christian Mansell will be delighted. There's Vladimir Netashil lining up in grid slot 7. Didn't have the easiest start to his weekend. The car had to be pulled over, could not set a lap in qualifying, but he is back. Great to see Vladimir on the track. And then in 8th place, we've got Alex Garcia for Team Motorpart, the Mexican, who has also just returned from F3 testing himself, and is back here to try and challenge and move himself up the order. Has got a lot of work to do, obviously, against these brilliant contenders who are looking to challenge for the race win here at Monza, race 2. Can Lomko do it again? Can he take a 2nd win? Of course, his tally now is up to 4. And we have highlights now from our race yesterday. And they put pedal to the metal for the first time here at Monza this race weekend. Christian Mansell had a really slow start. Francesco Simonazzi did get the jump, as did Freddie Lubin, who got an excellent start too. There was certainly lots of spray, and Christian Mansell was afflicted by it. He did manage to fight back and try and challenge to get up into 2nd place, but obviously still had to contest with that of Freddie Lubin to try and get there. It wasn't to be, though, and still Lubin continued on his hunt for a podium here, another podium to add to his list. Francesco Simonazzi was also trying to get closer to Olli Goethe, who did a stunning job of keeping the Italian at his home race in behind as they ran through the curbs at Rettofilio. You can see there Simonazzi getting all out of shape exiting turn 2. We then saw them get closer again. Mansell trying to loom large against Lubin. Goethe spinning around the Roggia curves, and it led to Vladislav Lomko taking yet another win which would make that his 4th win of the season to go along with his Grand Prix de Pau win as well. Goethe still leads the championship, 425 points, 84 points gap to that of Christian Mansell in 2nd, with Vladislav Lomko in 3rd as well. Josh Mason in 4th on 202 points gap back from Goethe, with Frederick Lubin on 222 points. A solitary point in behind his fellow Brit, Josh Mason. Francesco Simonazzi 6th in the standings, looking for a big result in his home race here today. And not to mention the others too that will be looking to try and put a notch on the lapel against that of Vladislav Lomko. Well, race 2 about to get underway, folks, and certainly here's the grid order. Oliver Goethe, he could be starting from the pit lane at this stage, but now Josh Mason still 2nd place. Francesco Simonazzi 3rd, Christian Mansell in 4th. Grid position 5 goes to Freddie Lubin with Vladislav Lomko, yesterday's race winner, alongside him. Vladimir Neteshil starts from 7th. Alex Garcia, he starts from 8th on the grid. Now, Ian, not quite the conditions we had yesterday. It's considerably drier. I suppose the drivers will welcome that. Obviously, the vision was an issue. Here is Ollie Goethe's car. And just the very fact that they've removed the front wing away from the chassis itself, that's got to be a cause for concern, surely.
It looks to be a brake issue. There is fluid that was dropped from Oliver Goethe's car on the circuit. He will start from pit lane if they can get the car repaired. And you can see the marshals, they've just laid down some dry cement. So by default, Josh Mason is effectively on pole position. Simonazzi will start out of 2 to the right of your screen. 3 officially on the grid, but it's actually 2nd place. Simonazzi will be concerned because you can see the empty grid spot of Oliver Goethe. It has got cement dust on it. That will affect the getaway of Simonazzi, who will try and light up the tyres right now on the formation lap to try and clear it as best as possible. And Lubin right behind him may well clear it as well, along with Neteshil. So it looks to be a brake issue for Oliver Goethe, the championship leader. It looked as though he had one hand on the trophy, could have almost wrapped up the title this weekend. Not the best race yesterday, had a spin, and he's about to start from pit lane in a moment.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. Now, Josh Mason's record this season has been stellar from the front. He has been superb in the past, and there he is lining up on the grid. Still in grid position 2, but effectively leading the way as they now head out on the formation lap to get things underway. This is an important moment for the drivers. Need to make sure the tyres are up to spec, up to temperature, and therefore they can get the jumps that they're so looking for at the start of the race. But Josh Mason, as I alluded to, 2 wins this season, and I tell you what, coming off the back of starting from the front, he knows how to do it. He did it at Imola as well. We saw him certainly contesting with the likes of Christian Mansell. Those two coming together, obviously leading towards a puncture for both cars, but nevertheless, it will be a challenge. But there you can see Ollie Goethe still hard at work on his car. It doesn't look like a positive sight, Ian.
Not at all. As we look at the points in the bottom right of your screen, this is an opportunity for Mansell and Lomko to take points out of the championship leader. The brake disc is not even on the car. They've got 2 minutes to repair car 96. Hope that it's correct, hope that it's straight, and get him to the grid. This is a disaster for Ollie Goethe. He's got a healthy lead in the championship, 84 points, but they'll take a fair whack out of that. At best, he'll start from pit lane. At best.
Yeah, not good at all. And naturally now, Christian Mansell, as you so rightly said, will see this as a huge chance in order to challenge for that race win, and at the same time take a plethora of points and continue the championship fight as well. The Aussie, who is so tenacious. We saw him in our last visit at Red Bull Ring, looking for moves left, right and centre, of course, around turn 3 at Remus. We saw him and Freddie Lubin with one of the great duels of this season. Let's see what he can do again this time. The spectators in the grandstands looking forward to this event here in Euroformula. Wonderful weekend of racing. Vladislav Lomko, who will look to continue his winning display too. There's a good chance that he could go 2 from 2, but obviously we'll need to overtake a few cars. A launch here could mean everything here at Monza, and Josh Mason, who now starts from the front, will certainly have the pleasure of seeing them off and away from their grid positions. They make their way around the parabolica, and they'll slow down and then venture into their starting positions. The skies are looking, I would say, relatively clear, saying that there is a little bit of a haze over the skies here at Monza, but nevertheless, the rain is not falling, which is a relief. albeit though we will wait and see as to whether that will change. The tarmac still looking relatively dry in places, and they'll look to utilise that for all the grip when they get away off the start-finish line. It certainly seems to me, and if you're starting from the near side, our side, in the commentary box, where obviously Ollie Goethe would have been starting pole, that is the drier portion of the circuit if we have a look down this long straight. So a chance here, potentially, for the likes of maybe Francesco Simonazzi.
We're about to find out as Josh Mason parks car 21 on effectively at grid 1. Now we are ready for the second of 3 races here this weekend. 5 races to decide the 2022 title. Oliver Goethe, the championship leader, still down in pit lane. They're frantically working on car 96 to get him into the race. Welcome to the Cathedral of Speed, race 2 this weekend. The green flag at the back of the grid, the 5 red lights, and we race. Not the best start from Simonazzi. Mansell slots into second place and takes Freddie Lubin with him. Super start from Josh Mason, who leads the field down into turn 1. Mansell on the inside of the circuit tries to take second place. Around the outside goes Freddie Lubin, and they make contact. Simonazzi back into 4th place. Lubin across the chicane and loses 1, 2, 3 positions. Ollie Goethe still stuck in pit lane. A disaster for the championship leader as Josh Mason leads the way. They go through Curva Grande for the first time.
Yeah, once again, a great start for Josh Mason. Christian Mansell also trying to get the launch of his life as well. Did so, managed to hold on to second. Lomco dueling it out now with Freddie Lubin, who also got an excellent start. Has to cut off the track, very much like he did at the Rettifilio chicane to avoid the collision with Christian Mansell, though in avoiding that, he did drop back slightly and Lomco was allowed through. Lomco, however, after starting in 6, has managed to pull in 2 positions and gain himself a move up to 4th place. So a wonderful effort certainly from Lomco. Simonazzi not getting the best of starts either. He dropped back, but as you can see, as they now contest, heading down towards, down through towards Ascari, there's Ollie Goethe's car being frantically worked on, as now we see them go side by side into Ascari. Simonazzi in behind, he's going to try and get the jump. Oh, they're off the track. They're off the track there. It looks now, Lomco's gone up to 3rd place. Simonazzi down to 4th. Lubin suffering in that exchange. Garcia, I believe, has also moved up.
What a start here to Euroformula race 2. Ollie Goethe still in pit lane as Mason leads the way from Mansell. Francesco Simonazzi down into the Ascari chicane with a big don't argue. And right behind him, Alejandro Garcia, the Mexican, flying after a DNF yesterday morning. Good start also for Vladimir Netashil, the Czech driver, holding his own in this field here this morning. They come across the line for the first time. Mason, Mansell, Vlad, Lomco up into P3. As Freddie Lubin goes side by side with Alex Garcia. Mansell close to the back of Mason. We start the second of 17 laps here this morning. Goethe, a disaster for the championship leader, has missed the start and is stuck in pit lane.
Yeah, he is indeed. Alex Garcia managing to get the jump there this time on what looked to be Freddie Lubin, who is now stuck in behind that of Garcia's car, but they're going to go around the Curva Grande. Goethe has been released from his pit bay. He's got a lot of work to do, though, as the cars now make their way down towards the Rogier chicane. Lubin and Garcia once again cemented together. Lubin goes ahead, though, as Garcia has to go off the track, off into the gravel trap as well. Looking further back, that was Garcia, I believe. No, it wasn't, sorry, it was Lubin. Lubin in the gravel trap.
For the 3rd time in the race, he's gone off the circuit. Watch this, from the first lap down into the chicane. Simonazzi down the inside, made the move, ran out of road, was on the greasy, the wet part of the circuit. Lomco goes through. Simonazzi almost running into the back of yesterday's race winner. They all did well to keep it off the wall, going through the gravel. Lubin was off the road once, twice. This was the 2nd time and then the 3rd time as well this morning. Disappointing from Frederick Lubin, who's fallen back to 7th place as Mansell sits in behind Mason. They go down the back straight for the 2nd time into the Parabolica. Lomco trying to catch them. Fastest lap of the race at 1:47.602 for Josh Mason. Out of the Parabolica, accelerates. We will keep an eye on the top speed, reminding you last year, Casper Stevenson on his way to the championship, the rookie championship that was, right here 12 months ago, clocking 273 k's an hour.
Yeah, we're now watching the battle for the lead as well. Mason and Mansell, while both very good friends, we see them in the paddock all the time. Always a picture of jovialism as they now make their way through the first sector. Mansell is no less competitive, and neither is Mason. These two will duel it out and fight it out for the lead of this race. Mason leads, Mansell second. Mansell with the fastest lap so far, 3/10 in behind as they round the Curva Grande. Lomco now, who's up into third, is 3 seconds away from Mansell, and certainly the spray not now a problem here at Monza. Of course, yesterday we saw how Lomco used it to his advantage, managed to hold on to that lead and the win as well. It was a sterling drive from Vladislav Lomco indeed to bridge that gap, build the gap right out beyond 10 seconds. But this time now he's in third after starting in 6. He's gained 3 places, so all the credit to him. But Simonazzi at his home race, of course, he went fastest in practice 1 and FP2, is now trying to close up on Vladislav Lomco, the rookie championship leader, with another rookie contender, that being Simonazzi as well. Further up, you could see Mansell trying to urge closer and closer to that of Josh Mason. Then got the couple of going in twos pretty much. Further back then, Alex Garcia, who has done exceptionally well from the back of the grid. 3 places gained now, he's up into 5th. So the Mexican really is starting to let fly now with Lubin, who's jostling further back as well.
Good start from the other Vlad in the field, Vladimir Netashul. You got a glimpse of him in the background. He was ahead of Frederick Lubin, who has admittedly had a difficult start to the race here. We now settle down into a rhythm. The gap between Mason and Mansell, 0.8 of a second, almost in the hypothetical DRS zone. This is the championship leader down in last place and a lap down as well. So first of all, he needs to make sure that the car is correct as we go back to the fight for the lead. Mason and Mansell, the gap 0.813 down into the first chicane. Simonazzi at the moment, he will not be happy with the start. Effectively was second on the grid. He's in 4th place though. Lucky to still be in the race because it was hectic at the start. Frantic as they went wheel to wheel down into the Ascari chicane. Simonazzi, fastest lap of the race at this point, 1:44.945. So he's lapping 0.3 of a second faster than the race leaders. They go into the Roche chicane. Mason, Mansell, Lomco and Simonazzi trying to drag himself up onto the podium.
Another super declaration of pace there from Francesco Simonazzi. Fastest lap now in this race, only 0.6 back from Vladislav Lomco. The gap between Mansell and Mason has stepped out 2, another 0.3 on top. It's now out to 6. As they now round the second Lesmo, they'll head down the Serigilio straight. Here are the provisional standings as well. Oliver Goethe, 425 points in front. That gap has now shrunk to 66 now, with Mansell being in 2nd place. Imagine what it would be if he led the race here at this point. It's getting closer and closer, and Barcelona is looking tastier at this point in time. As they now round into Ascari, still Mason in front. 0.6 is all that separates them. Lomco then 2.4 seconds back. Lomco at 3 places with Simonazzi with his fastest lap down a place on where he started. Remember, he was 3rd, and Garcia up 3 as well after starting at the back of the grid. Lubin down 1, he's into 6th, with Netashul getting a good launch too, getting right into the mix of things in the early laps. As now we make our way down with 14 laps remaining, soon to be 13 laps remaining. Mason leads, Mansell in behind as well, trying to stay in the slipstream of that. Mansell now takes the fastest lap of the race as he crosses the line with a time of a 1:44.833, and vastly quicker, if we talk 10ths of a second, vastly quicker of Josh Mason.
George, you mentioned a moment ago that Oliver Goethe was aiming to beat the record number of wins set by Felipe Drugovich a few seasons ago on his way to the title. That's the least of his problems. He had one hand virtually on the championship trophy. Not the best run yesterday as we take a close-up look of the race leader. Josh Mason down through the chicane. There is Mansell in 71. Oli Goethe looking to take, what, 14 victories in 2022. At the moment, he's having his lead cut in the championship. He won't be worried about that. It's a recovery mission. Now it's just try and take the title. A disastrous weekend so far here at Monza for Oliver Goethe, who, if you're just joining us, missed the start, had to start from pit lane with what we believe were brake issues. He's a lap down in 8th place, is still circulating. Josh Mason leads the way from Christian Mansell.
Yeah, Mansell with a huge chance here to really close that gap in the championship as they head now into the next chicane. Further back as well, Vladislav Lomco with now Francesco Simonazzi urging closer and closer to him. The gap between Mansell and Mason now has been cut down to 0.5 of a second. Remember, it was stepping out to around about 8. Fastest lap for Vladislav Lomco on his previous run as well, so he has now stolen it at that point. He's now trying to get himself as close as he can to that of Christian Mansell. obviously winner yesterday in our first race here at Monza. And will now look to make his way down the long straight to where the speed trap is at the end of this straight. Now Mason heading down, obviously with Mansell hot on his heels. They make their way down through towards turn one. It's very tricky here at Monza, obviously with the curves the way they are. Mansell now having a little look in the mirrors there of Josh Mason, once again letting him know he is there. He's such an imposing figure, is that of Christian Mansell. Loves to race, he loves to battle as they now head out to turns 1 and 2. Head down towards the Curva Grande. Still Mason leads the way after 5 laps of racing with Mansell in behind as well. Lomco there, 2.1 seconds back. He's reeling it in slowly, with Simonazzi just 8/10 behind.
Mansell from Newcastle in Australia behind Mason, the Brit with the origins from the Caribbean, his family going back a couple of generations to Trinidad and Tobago. Vladislav Lomco, the adopted Frenchman, and the driver on his home circuit, Francesco Simonazzi. They're both catching Mason and Mansell, the gap down to 2 seconds. Good drive from Garcia, the Mexican from the North American F4 Series. That's Lubin, second yesterday, but not a good run here this morning in the drive for Freddie. He's in position 6. He's just gone fastest, though. Frederick Lubin with a 1:44.374, so a good few tenths of a second faster than the race leaders. Garcia just defending from Lubin, down under the old banking. They go side by side into the Ascari chicane. Garcia in 24, they emerge. And we'll see if he can hold him off just for the moment. Sideways on the exit on what is still a greasy track here. Race 2 here this morning at Monza, the 5th last race of the 2022 series. They come across the line. Mason, Mansell, the gap exactly 0.5 of a second last time. Mansell will get the slipstream. He had half a look last time going down into the chicane. Mason will try and break the toe. Here we go as we go to Simonazzi in P4. They come screaming down past our commentary position. Mansell will try and dart out. Down the inside goes Mansell. Christian Mansell on the inside, locks up. Christian goes straight ahead. For all of about 10 metres, he took the lead of the race. Locks up the front Michelins and will have to concede the place once again to Josh Mason. Loses a ton of time. He comes Lomco. Simonazzi right behind. That cost the Aussie big time.
Yeah, you got to wonder what that's done to the tyres as well, because of course heading down through towards turn 1, this is the replay, folks. As you can see, just locked it up very late on the brakes. He obviously felt that he had a chance to challenge that of Josh Mason, but immediately locking those up, the smoke billowing off the rubber, and now Mason has an advantage now at this point, 1.6 seconds ahead. Simonazzi now starting to urge closer and closer to that of Vladislav Lomco, yesterday's race winner, the Italian now in the mix. This has brought Lomco into the fight for second place as well, so huge points in the offing. This race just got spicy as they now head down the Serragilio straight. There is Lomco in behind Simonazzi as well. Mansell could be in a little bit of trouble here as they now head down in towards Ascari now. Are those tyres okay, or has he flat spotted them, Ian?
Fabulous shot as they come racing under the bridge, under the old banking. That move was costly for Christian Mansell. For all of about a 10th of a second, for all of about 5 metres, he did take the race lead, and it gives Josh Mason relief. Nevertheless, Josh still tries to break the toe. Mansell's in trouble here. There's Lomco and Simonazzi. They will both be ruthless as they try and take position 2 away from Mansell. As we look at Vladislav Lomco, the victory lane supporter driver there, Simonazzi in the background. Winners of the last 2 races. Lomco yesterday, not more than 24 hours ago, and Simonazzi, who took victory in race 3 at the Red Bull Ring in Austria 1 fortnight back. Mansell under attack now. He's in trouble. Lomco dives down the inside. Mansell locks up on a greasy circuit. Watch them on the exit. Here comes Lomco. Simonazzi tries to follow through as well. Mansell is in trouble. They go through the big curve. La Curva Grande. Mansell, Lomco, and watch Simonazzi. Side by side, shades of Alonso and just about every other driver in Formula 1 right there. As Mason leads them up into Curva Roja. Mansell on the inside. They're 3 wide. Simonazzi dives down the inside. Can he do it? Oh, wow. Mansell off the road. Lomco has gone through into position 2. What a race here this morning in Euroformula Open at the Cathedral of Speed, which is Monza.
The ultimate opportunist there, Vladislav Lomko, getting the move done on Christian Mansell. Here's the replay. They went side by side into the Roger chicane. Simonazzi even having a look. He left it to the last minute, had to lock the brakes though, heading in, and Mansell, who was caught napping, had to pretty much avoid the issue, the potential collision. Oh, and there's the looks from the BVM team. Frustration there on their faces, watching all this unfold. And what a moment in this race as well. Lomko now with the advantage. He's up into second. Mansell now in third. Simonazzi now in fourth. He had to take evasive action, obviously, to avoid the collision with Christian Mansell, but now heading down in towards the Parabolica. Mason with a huge chance now to hold on to a race lead advantage. He's up to 3 seconds now ahead of Vladislav Lomko. There's Simonazzi trying to find every ounce of circuit possible in order to enhance his launch down this long main straight. But Lomko, who is now looking to eat into that deficit, he's brought a 10th in already. 2.9 seconds now separating that of Mason and Lomko as they now head in towards turn one now. The Rettifilo chicane. Simonazzi, you can just see there, trying to get closer, urge closer to that of Christian Mansell. Mansell 4/10 in behind that of Lomko. There you can see the team on the pit wall. They're very busy issuing instructions and obviously conversing with the team. Obviously, lots going on in the garages and certainly on the pit wall as well as they round the Curva Grande. Mason still with the advantage, though. 2.8 now. Lomko chopping at that wood. Another 2/10 off the time.
George, I'm quickly trying to do some mathematics, but if the race was to end right here, of course it won't. They're halfway through race 2 here this morning. Lomko, I'm quickly trying to work this out. He may move into second in the championship. If not, he would move to within 1 point. Certainly, if Simonazzi does go by Mansell, Lomko will take second in the series. Josh Mason, he's got this race under control at the moment though, 2.7 seconds, and they'll both, that's Lomko and Mansell I'm referring to, they'll both take points out of Oliver Goethe, who is still lapping, but a lap behind. This championship is far from over. We'll see you this afternoon for race 3, and we'll see you in Barcelona in 3 weeks' time as well.
Well, Lomko did come into the weekend with 14 podiums against the 13 of Mansell. Obviously, he can add another one to his repertoire after the win yesterday. But nevertheless, certainly a huge opportunity for Lomko to perhaps take second in the standings. Of course, Goethe with an unassailable lead at the very top. But nevertheless, Lomko urging closer and closer and closer to that of Josh Mason right now. He's taken another couple of tenths off now. It's 6/10 since we last checked. Remember, 3 seconds was the gap. It's now down to 2.4. Fastest lap for Simonazzi, who has the pace, he has the potential to get a podium at his home race here at Monza. Simonazzi has a look down the inside now on Christian Mansell as they come together now, leading in towards the Rettifilo chicane. They will come on the outset now towards the Curva Grande. There is Simonazzi now, just trying to get as close as he can to the rear end of Crypto Towers Christian Mansell as they now head through this next right-hander. Of course, Mansell, part of the contingent that was testing F3 cars. Freddie Lubin has now stolen the fastest lap of the race too, as we're now watching the cars come down towards the Roger. There is Simonazzi again, showing in the mirrors there of Christian Mansell, just trying to unsettle him. Here's an update on the championship standings. Lomko does take second place in the standings, should it remain like this. 72 points back behind that of Oli Goethe. Christian Mansell will be relegated to P3, should it stay the way it is right now.
And he'll only be 72 points behind Oliver Goethe, of course. We've still got quite a bit of racing to go. This championship is far from over. Simonazzi looks good. He loves the Roger chicane. He likes going down deep at the non-traditional passing spots on this circuit that he knows oh so well. Competing in the past few seasons in the Italian F4 Series, debuting here last year in the Euroformula Open Championship. BVM Racing are back as we keep one eye on 2023 as well. This is Vladimir Netashil. Oh, going round down into the first corner on what is still a greasy track. Thankfully, there is no Armco. He's in the grass. The car is still straight. Hopefully, he's kept it fired. That was spectacular from the Czech. And he probably won't flat spot those tyres as well, courtesy of a wet, greasy circuit. He just slid right over the top of it. Has managed to rejoin as we go back to the front. Mason, he's got 2.2 seconds, so they're all catching up. Lomko has taken half a second out of Josh. The yellow flag, no, Netashil is still stuck in turn 1. He has stalled it after initially keeping it fired up. Double waved at yellows. If this brings out the safety car, maybe on preempting proceedings at the moment, well, that will change everything. For the moment, it is just a local yellow. The gap, 2 seconds dead. Lomko Mansell, the kid from Newcastle, just north of Sydney. Simonazzi from not too far from here in the north of Italy. He loves this chicane. Watch Simonazzi on the back of Mansell, too far back this time. Now Nettershall, great to see he does get going in car 7. Fortunately, the car is straight, and the Michelin tyres are now green, courtesy of the wet grass here at Monza. The gap 1.8 seconds. Lomco is catching Mason, looking for another victory. Is the Brit. They go through the Lesmo curves. There's Mansell. There is Francesco Simonazzi in car 84. Down through Saraglio, under the old banking, into the Ascari chicane. The gap 1.8 seconds. Josh Mason driving superbly, but they are catching the Brit in car 21.
Yeah, they're within 2 seconds now. Lomco 1.8 in behind that of Josh Mason, who currently leads the way. Mansell just in behind as well, just tracking the situation now. Looks like he's calmed down now in the car, has got himself back into composure as he now looks to follow that of Vladislav Lomco. There you can see Josh Mason immediately moving over to the other side of the circuit, ready to take the Parabolica. In behind as well, Lomco in second, Mansell in third. Further back, Simonazzi 6/10 in behind that of Christian Mansell, the hometown hero here at Monza, as they now venture down the long straight and will soon commence yet another lap. This, of course, being lap 11 here of 17. 6 laps to go in this race. Mason in the lead. Further back, Lomco has taken yet another 2/10 out of the Delta. It's 1.6 now as it stands, and Mansell also getting closer to Vladislav Lomco. Simonazzi a little twitch as he made his way in towards the Rettifilo chicane. Not ideal at all, and certainly it's still relatively greasy out there with very little water on the track. It still provides a slippery entrance into every corner here at Monza as he now round the curve of Grande, still leading. It's Josh Mason, 1.5 seconds back now. Vladislav Lomco, another 10th being knocked off, as we can see. Mansell further back as well, 3/10 in behind. It's getting spicy. There's 6 laps to go. Incredible racing, certainly on the table. Could Lomco yet close the gap and challenge for an overtake here for the win?
Well, they have cut the lead in half from Josh Mason. It was 2.8 seconds. It's down to 1.5, 1.4 in fact, as Francesco Simonazzi runs out of road at the exit of the chicane, which he loves here. The Rocha chicane. Simonazzi so deep under brakes. We saw him lock up and skate under brakes down into turn 1. Watch into Ascari. The gap is 1.2 seconds. Here they come. Lomco looking to go 2 from 2 here at Monza. Exits the chicane. Mansell going with him. They get the toe down the back straight. Simonazzi in P4 still off the podium, remember. Good drive from Freddie Lubin, who just hit the fastest lap of the race a few moments ago. Freddie Lubin with a 1:44.399. Last time round for the race leader, Josh Mason, 1:45.540. Stand by, folks. This is not over yet. Race to the penultimate round of the 2022 Euroformula Open Championship. The old banking in the background as they come across the line. Josh Mason, the gap was 1.4 seconds. 1.2, it's 1.3. Watch Mansell. Dives down the inside. Cannot do a repeat of what he did a few moments ago. Down the inside, and Mansell retakes position 2, and with that holds on to position 2 in the championship. Nicely done by Christian Mansell. Slots back into second place. The response will be immediate from Vladislav Lomco. Dives up the inside. They're side by side into the Rocha chicane. Watch Simonazzi in the background. He loves this chicane. 1.2 seconds is Mason ahead. Mansell on the outside. Lomco's got him fantastic in Euroformula Open. Watch on the exit. Simonazzi almost runs out of road again. Mansell on the green part of the circuit. Down the inside. Simonazzi will be right there as they exit Lesmo 2 in a few seconds' time. Mason is gone. Mason has got breathing space. The lead blows out to 1.9 seconds. The battle for second, race 2 in Euroformula Open. Simonazzi trying to drag himself up onto the podium. How good is this? Race 2 here at Monza.
Well, fastest lap stolen from Christian Mansell. In comes Simonazzi now. It's towards Ascari. Oh, dearie me! Oh, my goodness me! A huge collision, and it's upside down. Mansell upside down through Ascari after a collision with Francesco Simonazzi. Absolute bewildering scenes. A red flag has been called. Wow, we saw them come together earlier on. There was obviously a lot of dueling happening out on this lap. But Mason, who leads the way, Lomco still in second. The race has been stopped. But a huge moment in this race as they tied up through Ascari. I mean, Lomco and Mansell were dueling it out. Lomco obviously having the advantage coming through the Lesmo corners. Simonazzi obviously chanced his arm heading into Ascari. Here's the replay, folks. There you can see the BVM car. He did have the pace, but then again, the gap was just very, very tight indeed, and just clipping the gravel trap. And it saw Mansell's car be upended. Oh, wow, what an incident here.
Front left to right rear.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's, you know, it's science, I suppose, physics at this point at this point in time. But Mansell now, his car obviously off the track at this moment in time, and incredible. And there you can see the scenes in the motor park garage.
Oh dear. There's his parents, Anthony and Megan. He'll be fine. Don't panic, guys.
Yeah, the flag still waved. The stewards will obviously be taking a look, and they've made a decision to call the red flag. Absolutely suitable in these circumstances. Obviously, the spectators watching on.
That was a big crash, George. That was huge.
Huge
and
crash.
Let's not forget, they're probably doing near on 100 miles an hour in the middle of the chicane, around about 150, 160 in the middle of that corner when he went up and over.
Yeah, absolutely right, indeed. It's and you could see certainly how volatile it was heading into Ascari. Obviously, they're so quick through that portion of the circuit, so aggressive. You have to really attack the curbs. But to say the least, it obviously a collision of cars there, wheel to wheel, pretty much. Simonazzi chancing his arm to make the move. All cars, though, lining up in Parc Ferme, obviously in the paddock, or should I say the pit lane. Josh Mason, though, did come out in front. There's Oliver Goethe, who will be bringing his car in. Of course, managed to get his car back underway. Could not, though, whittle down that two-lap gap that he had. He was still chasing after Vladimir Neteschel. He's now moving his car into the pit lane. And as you can see, a very busy pit lane at that too. The team's all out and about as Goethe now rolls through. But, I mean, how do you summarise that, Ian, at this point? Obviously, the two coming together. Simonazzi was very quick. He had the fastest lap as well earlier on in the race. There was certainly a dramatic battle for that final podium place. But is it cause and effect? Is this, you know, obviously at this point, it was just a tremendous duel, wasn't it? Mansell.
Well, this is the good news. Thankfully, Christian is fine.
He's out
We
the
can
car.
hear applause from the crowd.
Brilliant to see. Yeah, that's great. And the marshals doing an excellent job, as they always do, helping out Christian Mansell. He's up on his 2 feet. Brilliant to see the Aussie, a charismatic driver with lots of character, a wonderful family as well. And he's up on his feet, obviously just checking the car and doing what's necessary, obviously for safety purposes. There you can see the cars now. This is the replay of the incident itself. Simonazzi down the inside of Ascari, the front right catching the rear left, and then into the gravel. Mansell, because he was sideways, the forces of the car just toppled it upside down.
And the speed as well.
Yeah, the raw speed. I mean, coming into those corners, it's relentless. And Ascari, and there you can see it off the ground as well, Ian. Incredible as well, losing the rear wing. Again, a great advert for the Halo, to say the least.
There's no question about that.
Absolutely right. But such a moment. And there's the front of Simonazzi's car.
Front right to left rear. I feel we need to say everyone, I don't know if it's just the era we live in, the times we live in 2022, that's the best sight we've seen all day. Christian's
Absolutely.
Fine. But this phase or this fad, I think everyone has to apportion blame. This is motor racing. This is what's been happening for 1 century since the Monza circuit opened, as you alluded to in your opening, George, 1 century ago. This is motorsport. It is much safer than it was back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, let alone even in the 1980s. This is what happens in motorsport. There's no need to say this driver was at fault or this driver should have done that. This is motorsport. It happens. It did happen.
Absolutely.
Christian's fine.
Yeah, he is. He's out of the car, which is obviously puts a smile on everyone's face to see him out and about. Such a great racing driver and a great talent as well. Oliver Goethe, there you can see him. Obviously not an ideal race as far as he's concerned either. Of course, he still has the lead in the championship, but nevertheless would have liked to have been out on the grid with all the others. But there you can see Vladislav Lomco, who did such an almighty job moving up from P6. He, of course, managed to get a podium place in P2. And we're all just watching and waiting now. All the cars at the line at pit escape. And we'll wait to see when this race will get back underway.
If it does. We have completed 12 of 17 laps. Vladimir Neteschel, the Czech driver, going around under brakes on still what is a greasy track.
And then a wave as well. Hasn't dampened his spirits, which is great to see. But
well done to Vlad being here with us for the penultimate round with Effective Racing, coming over from the Central European Formula Series. Simonazzi, the front right, contact with the left rear, launched the Australian Christian Mansell upside down in the Ascari chicane. Look at the debris on the front of Francesco's car as he went straight ahead through the gravel trap, through the grass. The car incredibly is straight. A testament to the Dallara EF320 car as we get
confirmation.
Exactly, that the race will restart. It will be a sprint to the flag. Christian, obviously, will not be taking part.
Yeah, we got race 3 as well later on. And obviously, we'll have to see whether they'll be able to work on the car and get it ready for racing this afternoon. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But nevertheless, we got a restart here, 12 o'clock local time. So in just over 9 minutes, we will be back underway. Obviously, they're busy working the cranes to get Christian Mansell's car off the track, and not to mention clearing the debris. This is a replay of the start of the race. Of course, they got off to a very busy start indeed. Simonazzi not getting the jump he would have wanted, but I tell you one man who did, that was Freddie Lubin. He got a huge launch leading in towards turn 1, but Josh Mason, of course, right into the thick of the action. Lubin had to take the escape. Christian Mansell moved up into second. Further back, Vladislav Lomko taking places as well, tried to attack those up in the top 3. We then saw Freddie Lubin dip into the gravel trap. Alex Garcia able to take advantage of that. And we once again saw Mansell and Josh Mason getting closer, of course. Mansell would look to get even closer to Josh Mason. They would challenge each other later on, but Vladislav Lomko was the story, keeping Simonazzi at bay. And then, of course, we saw Alex Garcia and Freddie Lubin dueling it out, heading into Ascari. Lubin coming out on top in that exchange. Great battle between those two. The Mexican having to give way to the Brit, Freddie Lubin. We would then, of course, see them go side by side. This was the move where Mansell would lock up the tyres when he tried to challenge Josh Mason for the overall lead of the race here at Monza in race 2. Unfortunately, not pulling it off, allowing Mason to hold on to a lead. They went 3 wide, though, and again, Simonazzi locking up his brakes, heading into the Roches chicane. Mansell had to take the escape road with Simonazzi in behind, and a lot of fury there for the BVM team. They then came together, though, and this was the moment, heading into Ascari. The two of them collided. Mansell upended off the track, upside down, and the Aussie was confirmed out of the race. Simonazzi had to cut the grass at Ascari and then take the long stretch. The alarm bells ringing in the motor park garage. But Mansell stepping out of the car. This was the best moment of the race so far, seeing the Aussie out of the cockpit, and he will then make his way back to the garages. Obviously, we have got confirmation the race will be back. We've got confirmation that the driver is okay as well, which is great news too. Of course, the marshals who have done a spectacular job to clean up the debris, not to mention the ambulance on service as well to make sure Mansell's okay, also giving him a lift back to the paddock, which is great to see as well. And very shortly, the spectators will see more racing when we resume. Stuart Hall, you can see down there, of course, the trainer for Ollie Goethe. And all the teams now out and about, waiting to see what decision is going to be made. And you can see they're conversing, the Mason family, as well as the Team Motor Park. All of them out and about, waiting to, obviously, see this race get back underway. So are the spectators who have come this weekend. Great to see them back out here at Italy, at Monza as well. And certainly better conditions here today. And there's the car, the rear wing totally gone. The front wing is still on. I suppose that's a little positive, I suppose, as to what had happened for them. But nevertheless, it's great to see that Christian's okay.
George, I don't mean to be flippant, but that car does not actually look too bad.
Yeah.
It was spectacular. Upside down in the air.
Still no information on what kind of restart.
But it looks, I mean, we saw Motor Park down in pit lane earlier, or Crypto Tower, repair Oliver Goethe's car in a matter of moments. The front disc, brake disc, was not even on the car, and they repaired that in a few minutes. As we look at Josh Mason, who did have, well, he had a 2.8 second lead. It was cut down to 1.2 seconds. He will lead again when we do restart in a few moments' time. George, it might be time to change the mood somewhat and speak positively as we look towards 2023, because the big news here this weekend, the calendar for next season has been announced. 8 rounds starting down in the south of Portugal, down on the Algarve coast at Portimao. Grand Prix circuits throughout, Spa-Francorchamps in May, then the Hungaroring, Paul Ricard on the 22nd, 23rd of July, the Red Bull Ring in Austria, where we were 2 weeks ago, as the BVM racing team wait for word from race control. Back here to Monza in, almost 1 year to the day. Next year, 23rd and 24th of September. So in 364 days, we'll be back here. And then we go to Mugello for the penultimate round, and the season concludes on October 21 and 22. This is Oliver Goethe, who will take the restart, albeit a lap down. 2023, yes, admittedly, this is not the biggest grid of the season, as we look at Marcus Siebert, former Formula 3 racer, working with Alejandro Garcia this weekend. Buenos dias, Marcos. Various factors have affected the grid throughout 2022. Basically, we don't want to use the C word as an excuse. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but the good news is the future is looking bright. More teams, more drivers, more cars will be back for the 2023 Euroformula Open Championship, which gets underway at Portimao in Portugal on the beautiful Algarve coast on the last weekend of April next year.
Yeah, and we can summarise certainly this year that while the grid in comparison hasn't been, should we say, as large as we've seen in recent years, the racing has been so close. We've seen lots of battling, obviously, between the likes of Goethe and Mansell, and not to mention Vladislav Lomko with one of the most impressive rookie debuts in a season we've ever seen. Certainly here, so consistent in what he does, and once again challenging. As we take another look at Vladimir Netashil.
New driver to the series.
Yeah, absolutely.
New team as well with Effective Racing. And there'll be more of those in 2023 as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen the fact that there could well be more new teams and lots of new drivers as well, and a great calendar where we start at the Algarve and then, of course, Spa. Great to return to Monza as well, the Temple of Speed next year too. So we will be back here September 23rd to 24th next year. So do not miss that. That's going to be very special indeed at the Temple of Speed. And we will be bringing you more action, to say the least. But we have, keenly enough, still got rounds left here in this championship. We've got Barcelona coming up next month as well. The title fight is still ongoing, Ian, so a big chance, albeit though Mansell won't score points in this round, but Lomko will.
And Oliver Goethe won't score too many at best, because even though we are about to restart in, 2 minutes' time, he's still a lap down. The leaders have completed 13 laps. Mansell obviously won't take the restart. Netashil also with that spin. He lost a lap as the cars fire up, and we get ready to sprint to that checkered flag, race to the penultimate round of the 2022 Euroformula Open Championship, thankfully on a dry circuit. Oliver Goethe is still a lap down. He'll get some points out of this, but 25, nope, no chance.
No, not at all. Cars fired up now, getting ready to head out for the remainder of this race. Got 4 laps to go. Obviously, restart behind the safety car as well. So they will get themselves back underway. But there you can see Josh Mason, who will lead the contingent out. The marshals on standby with the flags prior to getting them ready to go. Obviously, Josh Mason now won't have the deficit that he had before the safety car now. So it's going to bring the group closer together. Lomko has a great chance to fight for the win here.
Certainly does. It will be 2 in a row. A lot of these drivers, of course, in the past we've seen the likes of Colton Herta go over and race Indy cars in America. So Indy think of Louis Foster. So is this preparation for the likes of Josh Mason in the years ahead? It will be a start behind the safety car. He will need to get the jump out of Parabolica. Be assured, Lomko will go straight with him and try and bring car 69 into victory lane for the second time in not more than 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. Mason there, you can see just in our pictures. And we've got 4 laps left to go.
Sprint to the checkered flag, a 4-lap sprint. 4 times, 6Ks of Monza? Your maths is better than mine, George. Just over 20 kilometres at one of the fastest race circuits in Europe, if not the world, excluding, of course, the ovals in North America.
Plenty of pace here at this track, and the chicane's nevertheless very rapid too. We've obviously seen what Ascari can do in the circumstances. This safety car has officially been deployed, and they have now started venturing out of the garage past our commentary boxes. We're looking at it, and leading them through will be Josh Mason, Vladislav Lomko in behind. That deficit will be brought right back down. Remember, it was plus 2 seconds before, after the battling that we saw previously. Well, Lomko is going to be considerably closer to that of Josh Mason. Simonazzi also in third as well, with a chance of himself getting some big points as well this weekend. I mean, what about Freddie Lubin? He's been brought into the mix. Alex Garcia will have the deficit brought back as well. Obviously, still the case that Goethe and Netashil will come together, but Goethe can challenge Netashil and at least claim 7th place.
Exactly, pick up something, because they've both gone a lap down for various reasons. Incidentally, Christian Mansell, although obviously won't take the restart, still holds the fastest lap of the race. 1:43.944 at, listen to this, an average speed of 200.6 k's an hour. That is frighteningly fast in these magnificent Euroformula Open cars. Top speed last year, of course, we mentioned earlier, Casper Stevenson clocking 273 k's an hour. About 5 or 8 off that this morning on what is still a greasy green track after rain yesterday. We are ready to sprint to that checkered flag. Race to Euroformula Open behind the safety car. Mason, Lomco, Simonazzi in position 3. Lubin, Garcia. Good drive from Alejandro this morning. Netterschul and Goethe a lap down. He's the championship leader. Here is Simonazzi. So at the moment, he is on the podium under controversial circumstances. Again, we dare not lay blame at anybody. We're not driving these cars. It is so easy to throw comments and criticisms and say, so-and-so should have done this or driver X should have done that. We're not driving these cars. This is motorsport. The drivers are both fine. Francesco's in the race and Christian stepped out of the Dallara car without a problem. We will sprint to the checkered flag. Simonazzi's not out of this. May take his second win.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, when the safety car comes in, it will be in this lap, folks. That is confirmed. We're still under yellow conditions, full course yellow, with the safety car out in front. 4 laps will remain here in the Euroformula Open Championship. Race 2 at Monza. We have one more race to bring you later on as well, but Christian Mansell, obviously we'll have to wait and see whether he will join us, but Josh Mason will lead them through. The big question is, can he hold back the rampant force of Vladislav Lomco, yesterday's race winner, the Grand Prix de Pau winner, the leader of the rookie classification as well. As they now make their way down the next straight, they will have the Parabolica to take. You can see them now furiously warming up those tyres, making sure they're up to temperature. Of course, Christian Mansell would have landed that fastest lap in lap 12 on what would be very warm tyres. Very good sticky tyres as well. A lot of these drivers won't have the same climate now at this point because the track would have been allowed to cool, not to mention the rubber would be as well, hence why they're now vigorously warming these up. As you can see now, Josh Mason rounding the Parabolica now. Goethe right in behind these two. He's chasing after Vladimir Netterschul, but now as they round the Parabolica, head down the main straight, they put pedal to the metal for the second time in this race. And now Josh Mason heading down the straight with Vladislav Lomco in behind. Lomco getting a brilliant launch as they now make their way down through towards turn 1. Lomco tracking Josh Mason as they head down to the Rettifilio, but Mason covering off the approach as they're now headed towards turns 1 and 2. Simonazzi also in the mix. He's in third as well. In behind, Freddie Lubin also there for the back. Garcia as they now head towards the Curva Grande. Mason leads. Lomco in behind, who's trying to force the issue as they head down now towards the Roger chicane. Simonazzi still remains in third. They now billow down towards the next chicane. There you can see Lomco switching sides, now defending Josh Mason. Superbly done. Lomco could not find the answer. Mason aggressively defending, absolutely sternly out there.
Here we go, the sprint to the checkered flag. Did you see the deliberate tactic from Josh Mason? Deliberately drove over the cement dust off the restart to try and rattle Lomco as Garcia and Lubin have their own battle and run off the road in the background. Watch Simonazzi, he'll get the toe as they run down the back straight. Mason incredibly holds off Lomco. Remember, before the race was red flagged, he had 2.8 seconds over this battle as Simonazzi has a look inside the chicane. Goethe ranges up behind Alejandro Garcia into the Ascari chicane, and now Josh Mason has got momentum. Goethe's off the road again. What a disaster for the championship leader. It's a weekend to forget. 14 wins break the record of Felipe Drugovich. No chance.
So looking on the cards right now, Mason once again leads them through the Parabolica. Last time was under the safety car, this time we're under rules racing. This is the moment. Goethe, who managed to get himself, unlap himself ahead of Garcia, but unfortunately taking a bit of a dive into the grass.
Cold tyres on a green track, and Ollie Goethe was off the road. And as they come down the straight, you can see the graphic at the top of your screen. Now it's a 4-lap sprint to the checkered flag. Simonazzi, watch the Italian in third place. As a big look at the back of Vlad Lomco, Josh Mason under enormous pressure. Here comes Freddie Lubin as well. Second in the rain in the race yesterday. The Brit is dragging himself into the fight for the podium. Simonazzi, he loves the next corner, the Rocher chicane, as they exit Curva Grande. Watch the Italian for BVM Racing. Will he dive down the inside? Lomco covers him off, no problem, says Simonazzi. Tries the outside line. They'll both be slow on the exit and allow Mason to skip away. Here comes Simonazzi on the inside into the Lesmo Curves 1. Down the inside goes the Italian. Can't quite do it. Here comes Lubin in the background as well. A three-car fight for second place. Mason once again has got breathing space. They exit Lesmo 2. Simonazzi's off the road.
Simonazzi dipping into the gravel trap. It could open the door for Freddie Lubin as they now head down the Serigilio straight. They've got the Ascari chicane coming up next. In comes now Freddie Lubin, who goes for the podium. They bang wheels, heading into Ascari. Lubin now up into third. A great move indeed. Manages to get ahead of the Italian Francesco Simonazzi, who is ultimately twisting the wheel left and right, trying to get traction out on this very, very damp circuit this weekend. Has managed to regain it though. He's now in fourth, but now you can see Simonazzi coming back at him, heading down in towards the Parabolica. Mason now has stretched the advantage out to 1.3 seconds. Lubin in behind now, half a second away from Lomco and urging closer. There are the pictures of Christian Mansell out of the car, just conversing with the team and his family as well. Great to see that he's okay, but now we can see Simonazzi back out on track, trying to close up to Freddie Lubin as they make their way down towards the Rettifidio chicane. Still Mason with the advantage. Lomco though pulling it back in, another 2/10 knocked off the time. Remember, it was 1.3. Oh, Lubin getting bent out of shape, heading out of what will be the Rettifidio. This will tee up an opportunity for Francesco Simonazzi. They head around the Curva Grande now as they round it. It is still Lubin in third. Simonazzi dips to the inside. He'll have the overspeed after coming out to the Rettifidio chicane. The Rogia comes up next. As they do so, Simonazzi side by side with Freddie Lubin, a nose in front, a car in front. Simonazzi, the Italian BVM team, are now up into third place.
Order restored for Josh Mason. He's pulled away. He's got roughly 1 second. It is seesawing ever so slightly. Simonazzi, who was trying to take second place, at the moment he'll be lucky to finish off the podium. The dying stages now with that lap added. What the track is about 6 kilometres, so it's 5 times 6, 30 kilometres is actually the sprint to the checkered flag. And we've got 1.5 laps remaining. The gap's 0.8 of a second. Lomco has cut it down ever so slightly now. There, Simonazzi slides sideways under brakes on the green, on the greasy track from the overnight rain. He's in third place. It'll be last lap next time round. Josh Mason white lines it down the back straight. Now tries to break the toe from Lomco. He says, no problem, I'll go with you. Simonazzi under attack. Lubin dives down the inside. Nicely done by the Brit. And Simonazzi falls off the podium. This is the last lap of a very spectacular race 2 here at Monza. Mason, the gap is half a second. Lomco's got the slipstream. Simonazzi tries to take Lubin for third. They go side by side down the straight at well over 260 k's an hour. Mason position 1. Lomco tries to balk him, but Josh is having none of it. The Brit desperately trying to hold on for another win. Simonazzi goes deep, runs off the road. His chance of a podium on his home circuit here this morning is gone. He's back to position 5. Last lap of the race, Mason, 0.3 of a second ahead of Lomco.
Freddie Lubin as well into the fight, battling now for a podium place. Josh Mason still holds the lead, defending vigorously against that of Vladislav Lomco, but in comes Freddie Lubin, now challenging of that. Certainly Alex Garcia thrown into the mix. Garcia's up into third. Sensational. Simonazzi now down into fifth. The Mexican now with a chance of scooping a podium on this final lap. Lubin also trying to fight back as they now head through the second Lesmo. They have the Serigilio straight coming up next before Ascari. Could there be a chance now for Freddie Lubin to retake that third? Garcia now dipping dive. He's going to try and make his way down out of Serigilio into Ascari. Mason still holds the lead right now as they make their way down into the next chicane. Once again, Lubin taking a look, but Garcia, oh no! A spin again at Ascari. This time, Freddie Lubin off the track, beached into the gravel trap. Yellow flags being waved by the stewards. But now as we pan our cameras through to the front, Josh Mason trying to hold back the force of Vladislav Lomco. They take a look in towards the Parabolica, but this time, certainly, Josh Mason, who has won twice already this season, he comes to Monza, the Temple of Speed. A Brit takes P1. It's Mason in front. He wins the Race 2 event here at Monza in the Euroformula Open Championship. Vladislav Lomco home in second. A podium for Alex Garcia. A Cinderella story of sorts for him as well. The Mexican gets a podium. A wonderful display. What a finale. Mason, oh, your victor.
Vamos, Alejandro, P3 for the Mexican. What a race here this morning, and heartbreak for Freddie Lubin. P2 yesterday was fighting for the podium, but ends in the gravel on the very final lap. Josh Mason takes the win. Lomco P2, and with that, P2 in the series. We'll get to the point score in a few moments. Mason has taken his third victory of 2022. He's not out of second place in the championship either. Watch this, down into the Ascari chicane on the final lap. Oh, was he helped, or was it just a greasy track? Into the gravel regardless. Lubin is out. Car 78 parked, beached, and that elevates Alejandro Garcia, the Mexican, up onto the podium, if I'm not mistaken, for the first time in 2022.
Yeah, Freddie Lubin, no doubt despondent. He was fighting for that podium. He knows it as well. And just skipping off into the gravel trap. Ollie Goethe has confirmed P6. Here is the race result. Josh Mason, your winner. His third win of the season with Vladislav Lomco in second. Alex Garcia third. Francesco Simonazzi fourth as well. Frederick Lubin in fifth. Oliver Goethe finished in sixth with Vladimir Netashil in seventh. Christian Mansell, of course, out of the race after that collision at the Ascari chicane. Just a quick note as well from the stewards. They will be investigating that incident between Mansell and that of Simonazzi after the race, so we will get confirmation later. Here's the driver standings. Ollie Goethe currently leads the way, 433 points. The gap being brought down, though. Vladislav Lomco takes second place in the standings ahead of that of Christian Mansell. The gap now between P2 and P1, 78 points. Well, there we have it. A lot of cheers happening in the paddock, of course. A lot of fans of Josh Mason, his family, who come out in droves and in force, certainly every weekend whenever we go racing in the Euroformula Championship. Great to see them as well. But I'm sure there will be smiling faces in the camp of Alex Garcia after a wonderful display to land a podium. He's been looking for it for so long, and I cannot bear to see, I can't wait to see the look on his face. There's Christian Mansell. He's waiting for his friend Josh Mason to come in, who of course took victory. But great to see the team gathering around him.
I'm all fine.
I'm all fine. You heard the words.
It's great to hear. Great to hear. Christian Mansell, the Aussie, charismatic as always a smile on his face. But excellent to see that he's okay. And there is Josh Mason.
Huge congratulations to Josh.
Yeah,
possibly the nicest family in motor racing. I know that's a big call. Absolutely lovely, and he really deserves this. Third victory of 2022. Withstood the pressure. Remember, it was 2.8 seconds before the safety car came out, or before the race restarted behind the safety car after the red flag incident, and takes his third victory just ahead of this driver, the victory lane back driver, who doesn't quite get it into victory lane through absolutely everything at the Brit, but still moves into second place in the championship. 33 to Oliver Goethe, still leading the series despite a forgettable weekend thus far here at Monza. Lomco 355. 78 points behind, and now Mansell with that huge crash, third in the series, 91 points behind. Josh Mason takes victory, race 2 here at the Temple of Speed at Monza. That is the applause for Alejandro Garcia.
Brilliant.
Vamos, Alex takes P3, his first podium in Euroformula Open. That's not the race winner.
Look at that, absolutely incredible. Mansell also applauding him as well. Look at this, incredible scenes here. Alex Garcia with a podium, an overall podium P3. That's what we love to see here in the Euroformula Open Championship. Congratulations, Alex Garcia. Look at the jubilation. Oh, wow. Those are scenes we like to see, but don't take anything away from this man. The winner of today's race at Monza. Mason checking that Christian's okay. Christian giving him a handshake as well, and a congratulations. Josh Mason, the third win. He took one at Hungaroring. He also won at Imola. This is his second win at an Italian circuit. Josh Mason with a wonderful result. Hugs all round.
Who is Checo Perez? This is the new Mexican star, Alejandro Garcia, and Josh Mason with a fabulous victory in very difficult circumstances here this morning at Monza.
Yeah, tremendous scenes indeed. And Alex Garcia, he's going to be delighted because he's finally broken the duct. It's been such a hard season for Alex Garcia, and no doubt be looking to come back and use this to challenge. This is his first podium this season, so it's tremendous to see that he is back at it, and a wonderful result.
He's not long out of Formula 4 either, which shows these cars are absolutely magnificent to drive. They are like a missile. The drivers absolutely love them. And it shows that you can go from F4 and make it onto the podium in Euroformula Open. Vladislav Lonko in position 2 and second in the series. Garcia, of course, taking third place. The victory goes to Josh Mason, his third of 2022. And the Brit is down in pit lane and ready to talk to Alfredo Filippone now.
Josh Mason, winner of race 2 in Monza. Quite a lively race, but you were safe in front.
Yeah, you know, had a good start, and then just you know, just concentrate going forwards. You know, around here, slipstream is incredible. You know, I knew Christian had good pace in the race, but you know, he made a little mistake in turn 1, which gave me a bit of a good gap when he rejoined the track. And then the red flag came out. I heard what happened to Christian, and I hope he was all okay with it. So, you know, it was about refocusing and going again, because I knew that we're going to have another restart. But yeah, you know, rehab the results, and yeah, I'm looking forward to race 3 later today.
Third win of the season, back to the top.
Yeah, it's good, you know, to have to carry this momentum forward still, you know, still learning throughout the races each time, but yeah, happy with the result in the end.
Well done. Celebrations now.
Well, all smiles certainly for Josh Mason, but let's take a look at the highlights of what was a very eventful race, certainly. And as they got off the line, green flags, red lights, all lit up, they got underway. Josh Mason, who would lead the way after Ollie Goethe had to stay in the pit lane due to some damage to the car that they worked on. They did manage to get away eventually. Obviously, there was a collision around turn 1, cars springing off the track, left, right and centre. Freddie Lubin being brought right into the fray of things. He went off track. Christian Mansell locked up the brakes when he challenged Josh Mason for the lead of the race, had to take the off-circuit escape road in order then to rejoin the race. Of course, the gaps then sprung out. Josh Mason careering away. Simonazzi then chanced his arm heading into the into Ascari chicane. It then toppled Mansell upside down, forcing him to be out of the race at that particular time. Thankfully, though, Christian Mansell was all okay. The scenes in the garage, as you can see, shocked everybody. But this was a great moment, certainly, to see the Aussie out of the car. Christian Mansell, who is certainly a charismatic figure in the paddock. Josh Mason got us back underway when the red flag came to an end. Vladislav Lonko did attempt to try and challenge. Francesco Simonazzi then also battling for a podium place, duelled it out with Freddie Lubin for that third place. Alex Garcia then brought himself into the fight. A move into Ascari would turn Lubin's car into the gravel trap. Simonazzi having to take the escape, allowing Garcia then a hefty advantage. Taking the win, though, was Josh Mason, making it his third win of the season, in behind Vladislav Lonko, taking a second place after his win yesterday, and then following in behind, Alex Garcia would take his first podium of the campaign. And here we have the podium celebrations. Alex Garcia, for the first time this season, will take an overall podium. He sits in the third place position. Vladislav Lonko on the top step as well, alongside Josh Mason. I think they need to swap. I think there's going to be some conversations there. But there we can see Vladislav Lonko, I think, having a bit of a joke with Josh Mason. Here's the national anthem. Well, there we have it. Josh Mason, your victor here in race 2 at Euroformula Open Championship here at Monza, race 2. We will, of course, have race 3 later on, where where Josh Mason will start at the top end for that race in race 3. Alex Garcia, his first trophy as an overall podium sitter. He will be pleased, absolutely thrilled and delighted with that. Vladislav Lonko taking the second place. And Josh Mason, the victor, will lift aloft the first place position trophy, taking victory. He'll launch it aloft and high and celebrate yet another win, his third of the campaign. And we will watch and see the drivers once again take to the circuit for race 3 this afternoon. We'll see you then.